Mei and Reaper are about to be buffed to counter a potential tank meta. Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to Unit Lost. I am Stylosa. Alright, so Jeff Goodman has been very active on the forums, and what he's doing is a Brigitte Lindholm Q&A. So he's answering a lot of questions people are asking him about the new hero, but actually he's giving some insight into upcoming changes and buffs we are going to see. And one of the things he says is this week on Thursday, we are going to see, or well, potentially Thursday. I don't think he confirms Thursday, but usually PTR updates on Thursday. We are going to see a Mei and Reaper buff. So what I'm going to do in this video is discuss this and take apart some of the comments that Jeff has been making, because these are really, really interesting. And this is the first time we've really been given this level of sort of insight into a new hero as it's designed. Like, we've seen these Q&As before, but generally they've been in, sent out to let's say like media websites and stuff like that, not actually just on the forums where they're going through and answering questions. It's actually really funky. So let's take a look at this. So this is really, really interesting. This is Jeff talking about the meta and the way that they sort of perceive the meta and how they try and predict what's going on. So I'm not going to put this on the screen, but I will read through this because it makes sense that we have this as an actual quote. All right, so this is what he says. We're always trying to get ahead of the meta and trying to predict what shifts are likely to take place. In this case, we're seeing some potential for a big tank meta on the horizon, especially with Moira just recently being released and how good she is at healing multiple tanks. We've actually had this sort of meta game in the past, and overall it seemed more frustrating for players than even dive can be sometimes. So as a direct answer to your question, I'd certainly be worried about buffing heroes like Roadhog, Zarya, and even Ana until we can get a better gauge on how the game is shifting. In fact, we're looking at buffing Reaper and Mei in an upcoming PTR patch, hopefully this week, since they could use a boost and they could help with this meta if it comes around. Alright, so triple tank was a meta, and it was even quad tank. A team called NIP, Ninjas in Pajamas, they came up with this, and it was extremely powerful. They were the pioneers of this strategy, and it was super powerful. This is when Ana was crazy powerful, and you just would run in with tanks. They'd take loads of damage. Ana would get nano boosted quick. She'd throw nano down, and these were the days when nano would make you run faster. It was sort of like the Beyblade meta, so you could run in super quick. You'd see a lot of Reaper because you'd just basically get nano dead quick, and then Reaper would run forward with Death Blossom. You'd chuck the nano onto him and he blows up the whole enemy team. This was quite bad. They did then nerf Ana, but we still actually seen quite a bit of tank meta. So it's interesting that they're saying this meta is probably going to come back, and it does make sense, right? This has been referred to as the Slambulance or the Moira Meatball, as I think I referred to it, where I broke this down in a video and I explained what this was. So this is the idea that you just get 4 super tanky targets, Moira is the healer, and then you run onto the point. How can they stop you? They maybe could use a Junkrat, maybe could use a Pharah or something. I don't know. It's going to be difficult. Thing is, we didn't know about Brigitte then. We know about her now. And the thing with Brigitte is, well, you just put her in the tank slot. So if you've got a team comp, which is Roadhog, Reinhardt, right, D.Va, Brigitte, Lucio, and Moira, how do you kill that? Like, how the hell do you kill that? That is a legitimate problem. So it's interesting to me that Jeff is saying, we know this is going to be a problem, so we're going to buff Reaper and Mei. Hopefully they can deal with that. That is very interesting, because I think we are going to see an absolute crap ton of loads of tank play now. Well, I say that. We will see this in 40 days when Brigitte actually hits the competitive mode, which is insanity if you ask me. That delay is absolutely ridiculous. Although Jeff did say, this is Jeff Kaplan, that they are testing this out with Brigitte, and it might not be the same for every single hero. Honestly, personally, I think these heroes should have a week or 2 weeks max on quick play, and then you get to play them in competitive, because that's only real time you're going to get to use the heroes properly and see these kind of crazy team comps. Anyway, Jeff Goodman is worrying about a tank meta, and it looks like he's trying to do things to get rid of that, or at least stop it from taking place. So then he was actually asked about how early in Moira's development did the concept of Brigitte start. Now, this is actually quite interesting, because what he says to this is, well, this. Both Moira and Brigitte, I say a name differently every time, don't I? This is not the quote, by the way. Brigitte Lindholm, Brigitte, I am Brigitte. Brigitte. had a very early prototypes near each other, actually. There was a time where we just really felt like we needed to add more healer options to the game ASAP. So we got to playing around with different prototypes and mechanics. In fact, Brigitte, who was just called Pally internally, was the one that first started with Moira's biotic orb ability, though she only had the heal part of it. Initially, Brigitte's prototype was sort of, let's see if we can do a healer who only healed via powerful cooldowns, so that's where the bouncing ball starts. That's interesting, kind of where Moira's ball came from. Eventually, we wanted to push the tank hybrid angle much more, which led her to Inspire, passive, and armor ultimates. We weren't even sure originally that it was going to be Brigitte or just some new character that has yet to be seen, but once her kit started coming together, it just felt like a perfect fit. So that's interesting, isn't it? That they were developing these heroes at the same time. It's also interesting to me that they were like, oh, we need a healer. So then they kind of went overboard and started developing multiple healers almost at the same time. That's really interesting, that kind of gives you an insight into the way they design the game. They obviously sit down and think, right, we need this type of hero because of this reason. And then they start brainstorming loads of options. And from that, they start building multiple heroes up. That is really, really interesting. Also, it's interesting seeing the different abilities like being thrown around the different heroes. I think that's super cool. And finally, Jeff actually does speak about the meta and how Brigitte will actually fit into the meta. So a user actually asked this question. A lot of pros think Brigitte won't change the meta much because her heals aren't reliable enough at that level. Many have suggested dive will not be the meta due to the way maps are generally designed for high ground. What do you say about these concerns? Dive will never not be in the meta, sorry. So Jeff responds to this and says, to be honest, it's pretty hard to tell right now. We've actually gotten a lot of mixed feedback from all levels of play. As far as how powerful she is, the level design stuff is something we've been looking at a lot recently as well. As we agree, there are some maps that certainly lend themselves to dive. We don't have a specific goal to kill dive altogether, but we agree it would be nice to see more diversity in the meta in general. Again, that's interesting. Like, we know that Brigitte has been designed to stop dive, and she does stop dive. The thing is, though, it's very easy to counter her. Like, you take a Pharah against her, she can't really do anything to that. The thing is, though, when I made those comments, I was actually looking at her as taking up a support slot, but she actually doesn't. I don't think she's a support tank. I think she's a flex tank. She's an off tank. That's what this hero is. You're not going to be using it in a primary support slot. You will use it as a replacement for a D.Va, a Zarya, a Roadhog. It's not a main tank, but it is definitely a flex tank, and I think we're going to see tons and tons of Moira Meatball style team comps with loads of tanks. And it's good that Jeff knows this, and he's saying this is probably going to be the case. That's why they are buffing Reaper and Mei. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been Stylosa and this is Unit Lost. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, then let me know what you think about this in the comments below. How do you think they will buff Reaper and Mei? Interesting stuff. All right, guys, I'll catch you on the next one. Toodaloo.